well, okay? I want you guys to be all stuffy in here, okay? We got a small group, it's intimate, I like it like this, okay? You're all gonna really get to know each other. I'm gonna be your best friend by the end of this, okay? I just got back. Oh, I shouldn't be using both mics, huh? Sorry. This one's for your questions. You guys hear me on this, okay? No. Sound good? Okay. So I just came back from Maui, actually. So it's a little bit different here in Durango. I'm not going to say whether it's better or worse, just different here. But I actually grew up in Colorado, if you guys didn't know. So I'm from Colorado, from Aurora, Colorado. Any Aurora, Denver people right here? Yes? There we go. It sucks. But it's nice here, though. Forum Bureau for bringing me out, and the Fort Libertarians, all of you guys making this happen. So conservative thought is being censored on college campuses. I'll start off and I'll tell you guys a little bit about my story, where I came from. And if this is messing up or something, just please yell at me. But my story, like I said, I grew up in Colorado, and I was never really a political person during my time. I ended up working for a Democrat senator when I was a senior in high school to impress this girl who I knew. And then I thought Obama was pretty cool.
Down
so
in front.
I wasn't very smart, obviously. And that was about all I knew. But then when I went to college, I went to CU Boulder, which we call the People's Republic of Boulder. Everything changed, right? I was in a sociology class, and there was a black girl sitting next to me in the class. And my TA, she looks at me, sociology mind you, and she says, "You are oppressing this girl because of the color of your skin." And I was like, "This lady's a prophet. Like, she knows more about me and what I'm doing than I know about myself," right? And the black girl next to me, she's like, "I don't know what's going on. This is really awkward for me," you know? And it's like, I didn't think I was oppressing her. She didn't think I was oppressing her. But this TA at a $50,000 a year university comes up to me and tells me that I'm oppressing someone. This is how you create a victim culture in America. And so after this and a bunch of other things getting red-pilled, I guess, I hate using that word, but red-pilled, I started becoming more conservative. I started speaking out on campus and in my classes. What else did I do? I did a lot. I started working with the GOP in Colorado. I started student groups all across the state in Colorado, actually. Durango was one of the places I wasn't able to get to, sadly. And then I actually made a video on my campus. I went around where I went and asked women what they thought about the wage gap, and they all thought they were so oppressed and don't get paid enough. And I taught myself how to edit the videos, did it myself, sent it to PragerU because I love their videos, and long story short, they offered me a job. I dropped out of school and I moved out to Los Angeles, in Hollywood. So that's how I came about this, and I mean this in a sense, not to sound vain and say, this is what I've done. I mean this sense to say that 2 years ago, I was sitting in one of these chairs like you guys were, in my college classes, where I felt like I didn't really have a voice, I felt like I couldn't really do anything, and I started getting so motivated, and now I'm here, speaking across the country, making videos with hundreds of millions of views, doing all this, and that's one person, going out and trying to make a change. All of you guys can be that same person, but you have to put in the effort. I'll get into it a little bit in that at the end. But I'm sure you guys have, I was walking around filming a video on campus today. I saw a lot of pink hair. You guys definitely have some leftists on this campus, so that's fine. I'm sure you guys know what it's like to be a conservative on a college campus, where you get worse grades for the things that you write. You get ostracized by your community. If you stand up, people are going to hate you. That's how it is being a conservative on campus. I've done events at other schools and things, and they try and shut them down, and they don't let me speak, and they don't let other conservatives table or even market the events. So they're totally struggles for being a conservative on a college campus. If you don't think they are, you must be a leftist who's never met a conservative person. Did you guys watch the Democratic debates? Yeah? Anyone? Well, for those of you who did, I'd like to take a moment of silence for all of the brain cells that we lost watching those. But these are the people who are the future of this country right now, the leftists, who we are fighting against, okay? When they asked, should we give illegal aliens free health care, every single one of them raised their hand. Is that not just diabolical to you? It is completely against what America is about. It's completely against what America is about. And these people do not love America. The left does not love America. Okay? And there's a difference between liberals and leftists. I'll get into that at the end. But the left hates America. Okay, you guys watch the State of the Union? Anyone? I know it was a little while ago. But you had Trump, who was up there, and he's chanting, USA, USA, right? And then you have Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar, and they're all in their white dresses, and then they start chanting, USA, USA, right? At the same time. And it's like, how can you be chanting USA as if you love America, when you want to radically transform it. Okay, the Green New Deal, that socialist, horrible mantra that they're trying to push for, it costs billions of dollars. That is not an American idea. Okay, they hate this country and they want to radically transform it. Imagine if you had a wife. Okay, imagine. Okay, there you go. Imagine you had a wife and you said, "Oh, I love my wife, but I want to radically transform her." Right? You wouldn't love your wife then if you wanted to change everything about your wife and the way that she was. Right? So it's the exact same way with these leftists who claim that they love this country, but they want to change it. Listen closely, look at their agenda, and see what they're actually doing. And a lot of these people, one thing I want to talk about a little bit is abortion. You know, abortion is a serious issue right now. 60 million children have been murdered since Roe v. Wade, and to me, that's a travesty. And one of the things that is so wrong about this is that men do not speak out against abortion enough. Okay? As a man, I feel like I should be more obligated to talk about abortion than just women, because the left have hijacked the entire argument against abortion, right? The leftists came on and they have said this is a woman's rights issue. They said abortion is a woman's rights issue, and if you're a man, you don't have a uterus, you're not allowed to talk about it. And that's how they've hijacked the argument, because they've shamed men into thinking that they can't talk about these things. But men are the exact people who need to be talking about these things. These things affect men just as much. Just because you're not carrying the child inside of you doesn't mean that it doesn't affect you. Okay? And the my body, my choice argument is complete rubbish. Okay? A pimple, I have this pimple on my face, very annoying. That's part of my body. Okay? A living organism inside of you, that is not part of your body. And a lot of people like to say, you know, well, it couldn't survive on its own if you were to take it out of the womb. Right? That's what they say. If you were to take a 2-year-old and put it outside somewhere, it couldn't survive on its own. So that argument is completely moot. I can barely survive on my own, okay? Out in Los Angeles, it's tough. So, abortion is a serious issue, and men need to be the people who are going to speak out against this. And another thing that I talk about a lot is just the struggles of young men as well right now in America. If you guys are a young man, you might know what I'm talking about, how it's feeling. You know, young men are killing themselves at a rate that is higher than ever before, okay? This shouldn't be a partisan issue at all. This is just a terrible thing happening in America. They're addicted to drugs, they're not getting jobs, they're living at home, they're not getting married, and they feel like they have no purpose in life. Have any of you guys seen Fight Club before? Fight Club? Great movie, one of my favorites. Brad Pitt is the man. And he has the lines in the movie where he's talking about, you know, the men of now feel like they have no purpose. So I'm sorry to use this cult movie to get my point out there. But it's really true. Men have nothing that they're really pushing for and fighting for. So this is why a lot of young men you see get attracted to leftism. Because leftism promises that there's this great revolution, this great war that they need to be a part of, that they need to take up arms for, because women are oppressed, or gay people are oppressed, or transgenders, or you know, whatever it is something that's oppressed. And young men feel like this is their purpose in life. They feel like they need something, and so they take up that, and it doesn't bring their life happiness, it doesn't bring their life enjoyment, and it makes them miserable. And we're seeing this. The family structure is completely breaking down in America right now. Divorce rates are rising. Again, suicide rates are rising. People are having birth less. And these are terrible things, okay? If you're a young man, you should get married, okay? I'm telling you guys, all right? Go get married. I'm not married, but whatever, okay? But it really is what needs to be done in this country. Young men are not settling down, and women are being taught by feminism that they don't need to start a family. They don't need men to be happy and successful in their lives. But really, we see that the family structure is the #1 thing for children's success, right? When you have children who don't have fathers, you see them going to jail, you see them doing horrible in school, they don't go to college as much. When they have a full family, they do much better. So a breakdown of the family structure in America is what is causing so much of this divide, so much of these people being miserable. So I think that's a very, very important thing. So young men have to stand up about that. And I know this is how young men are feeling, because this used to be me. I used to be a young man just like that. When I was at Boulder, you know, I felt like I didn't really have anything going on. I felt like I didn't have a real purpose. I was disconnected from my family. My mom and I weren't getting along. My brother and I weren't getting along. My dad was never in the picture. And so I felt like, you know, alone. And so I turned to, you know, partying a lot, didn't go to class, and it was tough. You know, it was tough. And so then I decided to make a big change in my life. And once I started becoming, again, more conservative and getting into that field, and finding more purpose and passion in my life, the #1 thing that changed what a lot of my trajectory was putting enjoyment behind happiness, okay? Right now, so many people, this is for women too, not just young men, but people are putting enjoyment above happiness, okay? Watching TV can bring you enjoyment. Drinking all the time that can bring you enjoyment as well. Doing drugs, another thing that can bring you enjoyment. But these things are making you truly happy. Okay? Things that are going to make you happy is time with your family, nice time with your friends, and things where you're doing things that you're actually passionate about. And that was the #1 thing that changed my life. And I figured out things that were bringing me happiness over enjoyment. Okay? And I want to talk about, I know I'm kind of going through rapid firing through a lot of different topics and such, but there's a lot to cover, okay? There's a lot of problems going on in this country, so I'm trying to get after it. I want to talk about climate change too, because I was on campus today and I'm talking about farming and agriculture, and somehow these people on campus somehow have to put climate change in there about that, and that we're going to die in 12 years, and you know, this is our new World War II, all that kind of junk. And so, in terms of climate change, the climate is changing, okay? I agree with that 100%. I'm totally someone who believes in climate change. To the humans' extent, I can't say for certain exactly how much of an extent humans have had on that. What I can tell you is that the government sucks at everything, okay? The government sucks at everything. And if you think that the government are going to be the people who are going to fix the climate change problem, you have another thing coming, okay? Look at, you guys saw this if you were here years ago. You saw what the EPA did to the river up here, right? They spilled 1 million gallons worth of I forget exactly what it was, sewage or just toxic chemical into the Animas River, turned the whole thing green. This is the Environmental Protection Agency, right? They're not doing very much protecting when they do something like that. And then you look at, you know, if any of you guys were around during the Obama administration, a company like Solyndra, that was a $500 million company for solar energy funded by the government, went completely bankrupt. And look what's happening in Germany right now, where they've tried to switch over to all green energy, and you see that their energy costs are going through the roof, because in the wintertime, the sun doesn't shine, excuse me, the sun doesn't shine, and the wind doesn't blow, and their energy costs skyrocket, right? When the government tries to mandate things on you, make you do something that you're not ready for, or it doesn't work economically, you are going to see nothing get done, nothing get changed. It actually gets worse. It actually gets worse in these places, okay? And so what you have to do is look at the free market, okay? I was in Manitou Springs, actually. If you guys know Manitou, next to Colorado Springs over there. I was there a little while ago. Is that where you're from?
No, I just love that place.
Oh, yeah, it's great. You got to drink out of the spring.
Yeah.
It's the best, right?
And in the arcade, so much fun.
That's kind of touristy. But, yeah, the other stuff is fun. But, what was I even saying about Manitou Springs? Okay, no, sorry. No, good. Okay, so I talked to a guy there who was telling me about this project that was one of the most amazing stories that I've ever heard. It's called the Paradigm Project. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of that before. But it is a free market solution, okay? If you guys don't know, 4 million people a year in third world countries die from stove smoke, right? This is something that you might have never heard of, okay? 4 million people a year die from stove smoke. So this country, or this company, the Paradigm Project, decided to make stoves that were cheaper to make, emitted less smoke into the atmosphere and into people for their respiratory health, and make money off of it, okay? So what they were able to do, they were actually able to sell the stoves to the people in these third world countries for less than it cost them to make it, because they had rich investors who would get carbon credits, because with the less smoke, people could invest in carbon credits from the company, right? And then the people who made them, they employed like people in Africa to make these stoves, who are now unskilled workers and low-skilled workers who now have a job, a way to make a means of living, right? So in just one company doing this, you've reduced smoke and carbon emissions into the air, you have saved people's lives, you've given people jobs, and you have made people money. All with just one company. Can you think of one example of the government doing anything like that? There's nothing like that in the government, okay? Because the bureaucrats don't care about your money. Or they don't care, they care about your money. They don't care about how your money is spent. And so free market is going to be the best way to solve climate change if that's what we're actually trying to do, okay? Another example is Ecosia, if you guys have heard of that. It's like a search engine, kind of like an alternative to Google, where the ad revenue that they make off of people searching and using their site, they use to plant trees, right? Which is awesome, you know. And also, if you guys didn't know, there's more trees now in the northern hemisphere than 100 years ago. People want to tell you how bad and terrible it is, this deforestation, but it's not nearly as bad as they'll say. And also, more polar bears are alive now than when Al Gore said that they were all going to be dead by this time. Okay? There are more polar bears. So, suck on that, Al Gore. Love polar bears. But in terms of that search engine like Ecosia, that thing could never be an alternative to Google. Now here we go to the PragerU lawsuit against YouTube. This is the best, okay? Please, let me clap. We're suing YouTube. We're suing YouTube. It is a very big deal. PragerU, myself, and Dennis Prager, we are on the front lines of taking it to big tech and not letting them silence conservative voices anymore. If you guys are conservatives and you've been online, there's a good chance you might have been shadow banned, you might have been censored for your views, silenced, whatever it may be. PragerU has over 200 videos restricted on YouTube right now. We have videos like Do Not Murder, you know, pretty controversial topic, you know, not murdering people. But we have like videos about the Vietnam War and things like that that are restricted. And there are other companies on YouTube and on Google who have videos about the exact same topics, but their videos aren't restricted, but ours are. And why is that? It's because we're conservatives, and that's why we're taking them to court. You see this happening with tons of people, okay? And this is a First Amendment case. We were just in Seattle about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking with the Ninth Circuit, or we had a case with the Ninth Circuit Court. So if you know anything about the Ninth Circuit Court, we're going to lose. So, you know, but that's okay. That's okay. It's a lot about public awareness, and then we're hoping that our case gets picked up by the Supreme Court. And we're pretty confident that it will, but we're also not sure how it's going to go there. But this is a First Amendment issue. It's on the grounds of the First Amendment. A lot of people like to, a lot of conservatives, you know, I talked about this with the libertarians last night at dinner about just how this actually is a conservative issue, okay? I'll explain this quickly. But essentially these big tech companies, they claim to be a public forum at the same time that they claim to be a publishing tool, okay? So they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to say that they are open to all, anyone can speak on their platform, and are not going to censor you based on any political ideology, but then they also want to be a publishing tool and censor people based off their political ideology, right? So it doesn't make any sense. So basically, if they were to actually be a publishing tool, that would open them up to thousands upon thousands of cases of libel and defamation, because that would mean that anything that I said on Facebook or YouTube in the comments or whatever, and I said it as a lie, that would mean Facebook would then be held responsible for that. So I know this is kind of legal and kind of hard to follow, but basically it is making it so that right now Facebook is not responsible, or YouTube are not responsible for the things that are said on their platforms, which is why they're a public forum. And they've said that they're a public forum, but they also want to be a publishing tool and say, you can't have these views on our platform. So it doesn't work out, it doesn't make any sense. It's a First Amendment issue, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court because there are no laws for internet public forums. Right? There are no internet public forums right now, so we are hopefully going to be the first to be able to do that, and that's very exciting. So these things, you know, getting an event out like this and trying to market an event is incredibly difficult if you know that you go on social media and you're going to get silenced or shadow banned, or can't actually put out the ideas that you want to put out there. So it's a very big deal. It's probably the biggest deal out there right now, fighting against big tech censorship. So I'll end. This thing's a little wonky. I'll end with three things, okay? The three ways that I think that we can beat the left. Okay, I talk about these all the time because I think it's so important to talk about this on solutions that you guys can actually use, okay? And they're kind of bigger idea solutions. I'm not going to give you really any statistics right now. These are things that you just have to take out with you and believe in it. The first thing is to trust or make liberals, what was the way I was trying to say this? Make it so that liberals are our friends and convince them that they are on our side. Okay, right now, the left have monopolized liberals. What do I mean by this? Okay, I'm in an Uber a little while ago. This was a few months ago. I'm in a suit. I'm in Los Angeles. You know, I'm going to another speech. And my Uber driver, she's this Hispanic woman. She's like, oh, like, you look really nice. Like, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm like a political personality. Like, I make political videos. She's like, oh my God, that's so great that we have young people out there getting Trump out of office. Thank you. You know? And I'm just like, yeah, for sure. You know? And I don't usually talk politics with Uber drivers or Lyft drivers because they find out I'm a Trump supporter, they're going to take one wrong swerve and it's going to be one less Trump supporter out there. But I ended up doing it then, and I asked her, you know, all these different questions because I was going to speech, it's kind of inspiration, pipe me up a little bit. And she was against affirmative action, she was against welfare, she wanted fathers in the homes, and she was a school teacher when she wasn't an Uber driver, and she was against putting transgender bathrooms into the school that she worked at. It's going to cost money, and she just didn't want that to happen. And it was like every single value, every single idea that this woman had was a conservative value or liberal value, but she hated Trump. She hated Trump and she hated Republicans, right? This is someone who we would consider a liberal person. Someone who has been convinced by the mainstream media, the universities, Hollywood, all of this, that conservatives are their enemy. The Republicans are their enemy. Trump is their enemy. But we're really the ones who are on their side. We're the ones who agree with almost every single thing they say. You're telling me that a lady like that who I talk to really agrees with socialism on the far left, or giving all illegal immigrants free healthcare, what these Democratic candidates talk about? Of course not. She would not be for that, but she has been convinced by the left that leftists are their friends, that leftists are on their side and they should vote Democrat. And this is so many people you won't believe. If you go out onto your campus and you table or you're just talking to your friends and you talk to them about these ideals and things, like you talk to them about that stuff I said about climate change, and you don't mention the word Republican or Trump at all in it, they will, I guarantee you, they'll agree with you, 100%. As soon as you say this is what Trump would say or this is what Republicans say, they'll say no. They'll try and fight against you. You know? So try and keep your arguments without that kind of stuff if you can, to try and change minds. And you have to convince liberals that we're on their side. Convince liberals that we're on their side. That is the number one, it's like the biggest voting bloc right now. Those are the people who we want to convince. The second thing, for some of you might not agree, but is to make God great again. Okay? This one is huge for me, personally, because I was an atheist basically my whole life, up until about a year and a half ago. And once I started getting really involved with PragerU and these conservative values, I became more religious, and Dennis Prager is the one who convinced me finally to become more religious, and it's been a blessing, right? That is another thing when talking about what young men are doing in this country that can give your life meaning and purpose. Faith can give your life meaning and purpose, okay? One of the main reasons why I became religious is because I looked at history. And you can look at what the Founding Fathers did for this country. The Founding Fathers knew that you don't get your rights from the government. You don't get your morality from the government, okay? They're your God-given rights. You get your rights from God, you get your morals from God, okay? And the Founding Fathers knew this. You can look at all the quotes that they talk about. They all knew this. And that's why America, partly why the greatest country in the world. But young people on your campus or anywhere else, I mean, a lot of older people too, they don't know this. They don't know the Founding Fathers set it up this way, right? And so convincing people that this is the truth, this is the way, is a very important thing. If everyone followed the 10 Commandments, the world would be a better place. I'm telling you that. If everyone followed the 10 Commandments, the world would be a better place, right? And even if you're not religious, if you're an atheist person, you know, do your thing. But there are morals in the Bible that you can read that will make you a better person, that will make your life better. It's a definite thing. So it's definitely important for us to get that out there. Universities now are a dead zone for religion. Okay? I mean, I went to Boulder, as I said. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, that was, you know, ground zero for atheism. It was like, everyone there was an atheist. And it was a cool thing to do. If you were religious, you were uncool. You were, you know, a nerd. And I was the same way. I was like, religious people are stupid. God is stupid, you know? And I had a complete turnaround with that. And it's changed my life, made me a happier, more fulfilled person. So, again, and if you're atheist, I suggest, you know, looking into it, talk to someone you know who is religious, and just, you know, see what they think about it. The third thing, this water real quick. It's dry here in Durango. The third thing is to never sacrifice your values for anything or anyone, okay? I know this one's pretty tough, especially for young people on a college campus, where you know that if you speak out against your values, or you speak up for your values, you are going to get silenced on your campus, okay? But you have to be that person, all right? When I was in college, when I was in my political science classes, my teacher and the other students hated me, okay? They hated me, and I loved it. I loved that they hated me, okay? When they would say things and they'd say their jargon about whatever leftist ideology, I'd always raise my hand and say, no, this is, and they're like, oh, really? And I'd be like, yeah, pick on me. And I would always explain my values to them, no matter what, okay? I would always stand up for what I believed in. If you don't be that person, no one else is going to be that person. Because then I would have the kids in the class come up to me afterwards, and they would say, you know, I'm like too scared to say what you say or any of that, but I completely agree with you. Thank you for standing up. You want to get pizza sometime? You know? And it's like, that's awesome. That's how you build a community on your campus. That's how you build a community of students who feel like they can actually stand up for themselves. But if you sit back while you watch your university turn into a leftist hellhole, it's only going to continue to get worse. You need to be the person to stand up. You guys, any Californians in here? One? Sorry. Yeah. What part of California?
Sacramento.
Okay, that's not as bad. I mean, it's boring. But anyway, I was just there. Anyway, but California used to be a place that was not nearly as bad as it is now. Okay? Right now, I'm working on a documentary about California versus Texas. This will be out in November. It's a very, very exciting project that I'm working on. They're taking a lot of my time. But If you look at every single metric, okay, every single metric, you will find that Texas is doing better than California. Every single metric, Texas is doing better than California, okay? And I'm bringing this up because California used to be a place where they were doing much better, all right? They were doing much better. They had Reagan, you know? They were a conservative state before. And now look at it. I mean, I live in Hollywood myself in California, and I live in a nice area, like in the hills, and I still walk outside. Homeless people digging through my dumpster, heroin needles everywhere, trash everywhere, homeless camps, high prices for everything. It's a terrible place to live, okay? The only reason people live there is because of the weather. But it's a terrible place to live. And this used to be a conservative place, okay? But the left-wing policies have made it so that California is this way. But it only happened because conservatives didn't stand up and try and say anything against it. They've capitulated to what the leftists wanted, okay? All of those schools, they used to be much less, they used to be much more open to free speech, much more open to different dialogue, and now there are Molotov cocktails being thrown on those campuses in California, right? And if you don't want that to be Fort Lewis, you don't want that to be Durango, excuse me, you have to be the person to stand up and do something against it. Because it will only continue to get worse unless you do it. It'll happen fast. I've seen Christian colleges, or more conservative colleges, start going more left too. It only takes a few people to get in there and try and make the change. Last thing I want to say is, think about the 9th commandment. If you guys are familiar with the Bible, the 9th commandment, bear no false witness, right? To me, this means don't tell any lies. Don't tell any lies. And I think about all the worst things that have gone on in the last, say, 150 years. You know, slavery, communism, Nazism, and all of these things are based off of lies. Okay, slavery was built upon the lie that black people are inferior to white people. Nazi Germany, Jews are inferior to everyone else. And, you know, communism, I mean, that was all lies. The Russian newspaper was called Pravda, which means truth in Russian, right? So you know that was all lies, all the lies that they told people. And I can guarantee you that there were Nazis who would go home to their wives and were good people and loved their children and were great people in their communities, right? But they were doing evil things. And so it's so many people have been convinced that the evil things that they're doing are actually good, okay? And that is the crisis that we face right now in America, where these leftists believe that these evil ideas that they believe in are actually good. I'm not saying the leftists are going to commit horrible mass genocide, but their ideas, you know, a lot of those ideas lead to that. A lot of their idea, communism leads to that. And so telling the truth is the most important value you can have. And without it, our whole country is going to fall. So be honest. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Great. So I guess we're going to do any questions now? I'm in an open book. I don't know if we really even need the mic. Do we need the mic? Can you hear people? Or you want it for sound? Sure.
Just for sound, yeah. I mean, if you got people with questions, that'd be great.
Ben, all right, here you go. Cool.
Okay, you said you were going to tell us the difference between liberal and leftist, and I missed it.
Oh yeah, I kind of just talked about what a liberal was and didn't really talk about a leftist. I mean, the leftists are the people who are not going to probably be your friend as a conservative. These are the people who believe, the number one thing that when I'm trying to discern if someone is a leftist or a liberal, I ask them about free speech. And I ask them if everyone should be able to have a voice, everyone should be able to speak what they want to say, you know, as long as it's not threatening to kill someone. You know, should everyone be able to have a right to speak? And if they say no, they're leftist. Because leftists are the people who want to silence speech. No conservative wants to silence someone for something that someone else is saying. It is leftists who want to. Can you tell me the last time? I can't think of anything. You guys tell me the last time a conservative event, or I mean a left-wing event, was silenced by conservatives protesting at a college campus. Any examples? None. I can think of examples with leftists silencing a conservative event, which is me. What has happened, right? And that's not even talking about other conservative speakers coming to campuses, right? Leftists are the ones who don't believe in free speech, and that's how you really tell. Liberals do believe in free speech, and so that's why they're more on our side, more on the conservative side, than they are with leftists.
How consistent are conservatives when it comes to free speech? Because I've noticed that the Trump administration has recently tried to introduce bans on video games due to violent content, and to me that sounds like a free speech infraction.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a bad idea. I don't think that anything like that should be censored based on what one administration is able to say what is good or bad. The government, again, doesn't give you those, the government doesn't give you the right. God gives you the right to have free speech. The government should not be there to infringe upon that. So you being able to play whatever video game you want, whatever stupid thing you want, is totally, should be, I don't know what stupid video games you're playing, you might, I don't know. But should be within your own legal limit to do so. So I don't agree with the Trump administration trying to silence video games or anything, or take away video games from anyone. So, anything else? I'm an open book. And feel free to ask me anything. If you don't have anything, there you go.
One of the things that you were mentioning was how family values are changing. Where do you think it's going, and how do you think that's negatively impacting our society?
Well, it's going worse. People are not staying together. People are not staying together. Divorce rates are worse. Women are unhappier, men are unhappier and killing themselves, and people aren't staying together. I mean, here in Los Angeles, where I live, I mean, it is a place where people don't stay together. It's a place where people kind of go to work and then they don't really settle down families. These urban cities, I think, are part of the big decline of America. In these urban cities, people just are so focused on their careers and they don't focus on family, and that's all they do. And I think that that's a bad thing to do, because it makes people unhappy. No one is the same. I said women before when I said women without a family are unhappy, but men are unhappy too when they don't have children to come home to and they are alone at the age of 40 with a dog, you know, or women with their cats. It makes you unhappy. It's women have been getting more unhappy since the 1950s, statistically shown. So I think that it is going to send us in a way that we don't really want to go. I guess that's the best answer I can give for that. But if we don't have family values, then people are not going to be as community-oriented, community-driven. When people are only looking out for themselves and not looking out for other people around them, then you see a very selfish society. And that's why I think, again, people turn to leftism and those ideas. So.
Question.
Sure.
So, based on like education and kind of, you know, the First Amendment says like that the government won't sponsor anything that slanders religion or anything like that. So, what's your opinion on like professors and educators who kind of slander Christian religion based on like, you know, past and stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's a history class and they slander things, I mean, that's totally fine if that's what you're referring to. But if you're referring to people just slandering, I mean, there are all these. I mean, you have these right now. This climate strike march. If you guys went to the student union out there today, they are all advertising for this climate strike march. Schools around the country are slandering Trump, slandering Republicans, slandering white people in their classrooms, and saying it openly and proudly, and they're allowed to do that, right? And so if someone, as a university professor, wants to go and say that, I mean, you are paying the money to go to this college and university. So that's why when you see your university or your professor say something that you don't agree with like that, or you want to fight back against it, you have to raise your hand and say something against it, because no one else is going to. You know, they are within, in a lot of ways, their legal right to be able to say that. You know, so you have to be someone to stand up and fight against it. So, yeah, it sucks. It sucks.
First, I want to say thank you for coming. It's been pretty great. I was amazed when I heard you were coming. I couldn't believe it.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
And I just kind of was thinking, so the left has obviously gone so far left from center. The right itself is getting a little bit right to counterbalance that. But would you say that, especially with these Democratic debates, Democrats are saying they don't think they're Democrats anymore when they're watching these presidential candidates debate. Would you say that the left is maybe starting to sort of feel how extreme it's gotten, or there's sort of a general sense of maybe a restraint's needed at some point, kind of a general coming back to the center? Just going around college campuses and speaking at these things. Do you feel that at all?
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you lived in a city that passed minimum wage, okay? And you raise it to $15 an hour. And then a politician, you're trying to run for re-election, another politician comes in and says, I'm going to raise it to $18 an hour. Who do you think people are going to vote for if they're misinformed? They're going to vote for the person, you want to keep it at 15, but they want to raise it to 18. People are going to vote for the person who says they're going to raise the minimum wage to $18 an hour. Okay? So these leftist politicians, they have to continue and continue and continue to promise things that they can't pay for, just so that they can try and topple someone else. It's a progressive off. Who can promise the most things from the government to people nowadays? That's where the left is going. You saw, I mean, we had Governor Hickenlooper who was running, you know, regardless of what you guys think of him, he was definitely at least a little bit more moderate than someone like Bernie Sanders or something like that, or you know, any of those people. And you saw him get totally forced out. You know, when he went to the Democratic convention in California, and he talked about socialism is not the answer. As a Democrat, he got booed off stage, right? So the left has definitely gone radically more left. And I don't think that they feel like they need to restrain it. I don't feel like they need to restrain it. They're going to continue to go. That's why the divide is so bad in this country, because both sides, conservatives and people on the left, are both going farther to each side. So, yeah, the moderates are dying. There are no more moderates, really. So, yeah.
First of all, hi, thank you so much for being here. And then second of all, my question is, what is your advice for a young woman on campus who feels unsafe because there are transgenders being embraced in female bathrooms? Because when I first walked into my female bathroom, I saw a sign and it said, if you see a transgender, I'm paraphrasing, but it said, if you see a transgender in our bathroom, make them feel safe, don't question them, don't harass them, and just the list went on and on. And my first reaction, my first thought was, this is a man in a female bathroom where I'm getting out of the shower. This is not okay. So I just wanted your advice on that.
Right. I say the best thing you can do, I mean, there must be a way to talk to the administration about that. Because if they are legitimately a man with a penis who's going into the women's locker room, it should not be allowed. I don't care, you know, what your politics are. That should not be allowed no matter what. That is so weird. When you have a grown man going into a locker room with children at times in these certain situations, that should be completely disallowed. So there must be a way to talk to the administration in your school, talk to your campus supervisors, work with your club or whatever else to try and get something done about that. Because if you go into the bathroom and start yelling at someone for being in there, it's only going to end badly for you and that person. So you have to go, I guess, around and try and get change done from within the administration of the school. That's what I would recommend to do. So, or find a bathroom that you know is outside of those ways and go and try and use that. So I know it's tough. But again, like I said, the left are taking over at universities in these ways, and it's hard to get things done and make changes because they've infiltrated so much and conservatives haven't stood up to do anything against it until now. Now we're trying to have to backpedal all these different ideas and things. So.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming. I would say I'm more of like in the middle. Like I'm kind of questioning like what, as far as politics, I believe. I'm definitely more right-leaning. But I've noticed like through media and kind of how the world works now that a lot of times like ideas are being globalized. Like I feel like a lot of, when I go online, like people from all over, like I have friends in other countries, are posting the same like thing on their like story about, you know, climate change or whatnot. Do you think, like, I guess this is kind of a vague question, do you think our political system is kind of being globalized in that sense of like people's views are affected by like what's in the media?
Are people's views affected by what's in the media? That's the basis
Well, like,
of the question?
yeah, kind of. Yeah. It's kind of a weird question.
I guess, I mean, what I can say about social media and affecting our views, I guess you can tell me if this, I might be off, but I'll tell you what I think about it, is that the algorithms on social media are built in a certain way to make you see content that you have already interacted with, okay? So let's say you're on your political journey now, okay? And let's say you go and for some reason you go on, you like a CNN article, and then maybe a Vox article. Facebook is going to learn about you and continue to feed you articles and videos and content that is like that, and then you won't even know that there's a conservative view. You'll forget that you were ever thinking about being conservative because of the way the social media algorithms work to push you into a certain direction that makes you go that way. So I know it's hypocritical of me. I hate social media. It's my job. It's how I made my following and everything, but I hate social media for a lot of reasons for doing that. And it pushes people away from each other because you're only going to see things that you already agree with. So the best thing is to do your due diligence. But most people are too lazy. Most people only read headlines. Again, just more fuel to the fire of why this country is so divided is social media algorithms. It keeps you on the app, okay? They made it this way so that it keeps you on the app. You pull down the thing, it's like gambling, they said. It's like the same thing in your brain, like gambling. You pull down the thing, you refresh it, and then you're going to see content that is tailored to you. So it keeps you on the app. If Facebook showed you stuff, Twitter or Instagram showed you things that didn't relate to you or that you didn't like, you wouldn't stay on the app. So they find out what you like, they find your interest, and then they tailor it towards that. So in the sense of the news media affecting you, definitely yes, and they control you too. And this is the same for conservatives. This is the same for on the right, because they do the same thing for right-wing content too. So, anyone else who has to ask a question? Anyone get up to? Let's go back there real quick.
So thanks for coming. I'm a big fan.
Thanks, man.
So
I like that.
the other day in my psychology class, they brought up something that I wanted so bad to just raise my hand and say, this is just absolute crap. Does anyone actually do this? Essentially what they said was, if you're counseling someone who has depression that is part of a minority group, part of the reason why they have depression is because of what has happened to their ancestors. So for example, if you're dealing with a black individual who has depression, part of the reason why he has that must be because 400 years ago his ancestors were slaves, right? So I mean that just to me sounds like left-wing ideology, and it's kind of wrapped in some real science to make it sound legit. But I wanted to raise my hand and just say this is just crap. But how should I handle that situation given the fact that I know where the professor lies politically, and I don't want that to be reflected in her giving me bad grades or anything.
Yeah. I mean, I tell this to people again, which you might not want to hear, but I say if a professor is going to give you a C or D, an F even, for your values, take that grade. Take that bad grade. If you're going to sacrifice your values for a grade, what else would you sacrifice your values for? Okay? So I say take the bad grade. But in terms of that, I mean, just first of all, that whole thing is so stupid, okay? I'm Irish. You know Irish people in here, okay? You know American history. You know we were indentured servants, or more indentured servants than they were slaves. It was worse to be an indentured servant. I don't feel oppressed, you know, walking around like, oh, my ancestors, it was so terrible, right? I don't feel that way at all. So it's just such a stupid thing. Just something to pander and virtue signal to minorities in that way. But our handle it is in the sense of raise your hand and take the bad grade if they have to give it to you. I mean, you know, if put on your MAGA hat and go in there and say exactly what you're saying, you know, and like say that this is not true. You know, how can you say this is true? You know, if it's something that you don't feel like you know enough about to say, then you don't have to speak up every single time. You know, but if it's something that you feel like you have a coherent view on, coherent ideology to like speak up against it, then 100%. Like one that I would always speak on was white privilege stuff, where they would be in my classes and they'd always talk about that, and I'd raise my hand and say, you know, I don't see any white privilege for me, and all these different examples of my own life and myself, and that was something that I could always talk about. That was, you know, and they hated me, and they lowered my grade for it too, you know, but it was worth it for me. So, and you have to make that decision for yourself. Is it worth it for me to take that lower grade and make the classmates and my teacher hate me, or am I going to stand up and try and do something? So, right.
So I guess my biggest question is, like, you're a millennial, you're conservative, you're a unicorn. That's not real. That basically doesn't happen anymore. So where would you say did the conservative movement go wrong that we lost the next generation?
There are no role models. This is what I meant to mention when I talked about family values as well. Young people don't have their fathers, young men don't have their fathers as role models. And that's a horrible thing, but conservatives don't have role models, okay? So I try really hard to be a role model for young people and know that you can be a conservative, have these values, and stick up for yourself and try and inspire and motivate people, right? Trump was a role model for people in a lot of ways. That's why he was so successful in getting people. They looked up to him and they were like, this guy rocks, like he's awesome. And before Trump, like, I can't think of anyone really that young people would really connect with that much, you know? That would really connect with that much. You know, Ben Shapiro came on the scene, Milo came on the scene. These were people who young people could look at and say, I like this person, they're confident, they're funny, this is someone who I want to be like, you know? And there wasn't anyone really like that. There might have been a few people, you know, but that was kind of nerdy. So, but we needed cool role models to be there for us. You know, now we have someone for African American. Candace Owens is great. Things like that. So conservatives still don't have enough role models. You know, I can't speak to everyone. Candace can't speak to everyone. Trump doesn't even speak to everyone. We need people to stand up, not just in the outer social media world and stuff like that, but within their own communities and be role models. Be role models in your community to inspire people to follow you and be a leader as well. So that's where we're going. Frankly, there was no one who interested anyone in the conservative, Republican, whatever movement before Donald Trump, really. That's why so many young people have now become conservative and wear MAGA hats and all that, because they feel like Trump speaks to them, he's a role model for them. They want to do things like he does. So. Cool. Do him, and then let's do, I'll take pictures and be up here, and anything like that you guys want to do.
Hello. Sorry I was late, but
It's all good, man.
Listen to everything here. I do have a question. I look at the world around us, and I've had lots of really wonderful discussions with many different people with many different views. And one of the things I came across was the idea of like what actually it means to become an ideologue. Where all you spout are things that you've been told, and all you do is it's like you play a broken record, where you can be fed a keyword and then spout off the same rhetoric again and again and again. And I realized that that can be found on left and right, you know, religious or non-religious. It can happen anywhere. So I was wondering, it kind of ties into like the whole moderate idea where there's a blend of ideas. How can we bring back kind of a moderate perspective where we can integrate and be able to have a dialogue between people on all these different varying extremes and bring things back towards the center and a more stable state where those ideas can be duly and justly toyed and I guess not toyed with, but like dealt with, and things, the perspectives could be addressed.
A few things. First, universities need to be held responsible for silencing speakers from different voices. If your college professor is very skewed to one way, and they don't let people with a different ideology speak, that needs to change. There needs to be definite free speech on every college campus for these ideas to be expressed. And you need to make it so that big tech no longer has a monopoly over what people are seeing, hearing, and watching, right? Because like I was talking with her about how you're only seeing one side. These big tech companies, they get exemptions from the government by saying that they remain neutral, okay? They say they remain neutral, they say they don't have these algorithms and things that we know are true. They say they don't have them. We see it every day. And so there are going to be lots of lawsuits. But they need to be held responsible for what they've done to people right now. They need to be a neutral platform where people get their information on it and can share information freely without the risk of being shadow banned or censored or anything like this. And the algorithms need to work in a different way where you don't just see content that is going to filter that you want to see, but it's going to see all the content that is available on the internet or available on that platform. So I honestly think like big tech and social media, how that all works is the biggest issue, really, because that's skewing everybody to one side. It skews everybody to one side of social media. So again, that's why we're taking YouTube to court to get those ideas out there for people to see. But it's very difficult. I mean, people have so much confirmation bias in what they do with everything. You know, it doesn't matter whether it's politics or religion or science or history, anything. So it's very hard to change someone's mind. The best way that I found to change someone's mind when in a debate with someone or trying to open someone up to dialogue is to have you be the one to ask the questions, okay? I mean, this is what I do for a living, right? I ask people questions. So instead of telling someone what to think, ask them what they think and have them have to explain their rationale back to you. Okay, like when I did a video at UCLA a little while ago about climate change, and instead of saying, well, climate change is this, and it's not happening because of this, I say, what do you think about climate change? And then keep going with them, and they have to explain it to themselves, and you say, well, what about this? Like, don't you think this could happen? And then they are much more open to changing their minds than if you have to tell them something. So people need to talk again with real question instead of just social media arguments that are, for lack of a better word, pissing contests to make it seem like you're smarter than someone. So, cool. All right, last one here. We'll do one more.
Two things. The first one was on the abortion issue, which is the real controversial issue right now, especially. It's not a political issue. It's a life and death issue. It's a man and woman issue, and we all have a responsibility, man and woman. And the second thing is about what you were saying about the moderates. How do we get back to being moderate? And how do we connect with liberals who have different views? We need to find that commonality. When you find a commonality with someone, that's how you can then start. That's the starting point. And when and respect for the differences. But finding that commonality is a great way to come back to being moderate.
Great. Thank you. Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been fantastic. So it was great. I really appreciate you guys all coming out, and thank you again to the people who put on this event and everything. So thank you.
Thank you.
Was it? Oh yeah, cool. Yeah.
So our club is called Fort Libertarians. We're on SkyHub. Please join us on SkyHub. That's how you get on our mailing list to know about all of our cool events, like this one we just had with Willt. It was really awesome. Thank you so much for coming. And we meet every Thursday from 1 to 2 p.m. in the Rio Grande room across from El Centro. It's in the ground floor of the student union. So come by if you're interested. Thank you.